Glad you're with us on NFL Live today. Time to figure out what went wrong for the losing teams this past weekend. We'll start with the Commanders. Dan, why did their season come to an end Sunday?
They couldn't cover.
Yeah.
They had to make a choice. Obviously, they tried to stop the run. Saquon hits the big run early, and then they said, well, we have to figure out a way to get another person down to the football because Philadelphia had such control of the game early on, and they just could not cover. Now, taller task than I'm making it out to be because Philadelphia has plenty of people that you got to cover: Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. But in the reality, defensively, they could not make Philadelphia one-dimensional. On top of that, turnovers were a huge part, but they couldn't make Philadelphia one-dimensional.
Feels like something that is fixable for next season, though, for sure.
With another human or two.
Yeah, right? Add the right people. The Commanders allowed at least 10 passes of 10-plus yards in 5 straight games to end the season. Let's spin this ahead to next season as we do dive into the Commanders' offseason outlook. The Commanders currently have the 3rd most cap space in the NFL when it comes to adding bodies. That helps. They'll have the 29th pick in this year's draft. Graz, what are the biggest offseason questions in your mind in Washington?
Yeah, defense, just like Dan was talking about, especially on the back end. At the trade deadline, they brought in Marshawn Lattimore. Obviously, that didn't work out. He had injury issues and obviously had a very rough game on Sunday. So they'll look to improve and add at cornerback. And then you saw that list of the veteran free agents they brought in, the Bobby Wagners, the Zach Ertz, guys they brought in on one-year deals. They'll have to make some decisions on that. Jeremy Chin, the safety that played well for them, he's a free agent. So, and then that's the back end of the defense. Up front, they really struggled to stop the run all year. So I would expect Washington to devote a significant portion of its offseason resources to fixing the defense.
Yeah, they're not going to surprise anyone next season, that's for sure, but still worth commending the way that they were able to get where they got this year. What do you think, Hawk, the Commanders should prioritize first this offseason?
I mean, besides what Dan and Graz have talked about defensively, it's wide receiver. I would love to see T. Higgins in this Washington offense with Jaden Daniels, because if I'm T. Higgins and I'm testing the waters, like, yeah, I want to get paid, but I also want a quarterback that can get me the rock and I can continue the trajectory that I've started in my career. You can imagine him on opposite sides of Terry McLaurin, that option down the field for Jaden Daniels in year 2 when it gets way harder for quarterbacks. I don't care how good you are. Yeah. That second year gets really tough because defenses, they're keying in on you and your tendencies and what you like to do and what you're comfortable being. With T. Higgins on the outside, that could help mitigate a lot.
Okay, so obviously the money's going to play a part in that. They're going to have to re-sign Jamar in Cincinnati and T to try to keep them both there. We probably think that's unlikely. Do you think that there is an element for T. Higgins where he wants to go be his own guy? You know, you will always be in Jamar's shadow in Cincinnati. And not to say you wouldn't be a little bit in Terry's shadow because he's been tremendous, but it feels like he can become the 1B to Terry McLaurin more than he'll be with Jamar.
I don't know T. Higgins personally, but in his career, he has not struck me as that kind of player.
And you wouldn't worry about leaving Joe Burrow?
I wouldn't worry about it. If you're going to Jaden Daniels from a Joe Burrow and the money is $5 to $10 million more than you'll make somewhere, it's the business as well, right? And you don't want your football to drop off, but Jaden Daniels, he gives you that's not the same ability as Joe Burrow yet, but we've all seen.
You're not taking a big step back.
You're not taking a big step back. You will still be your guy.
Hawk, what went wrong for Buffalo in that one?
I felt like their offense was unimaginative. I felt like they did a lot of short dink and dunk screens, which are great, but they needed to push the ball down the field, I felt like at times. When you're going against Patrick Mahomes and you make it a one-possession game, you're not going to win the football game. Like, history has shown you that in the playoffs in his career, and I felt like they needed more opportunities to push the ball, be more creative in the pass game. It just felt like a masterclass when you watch Andy Reid and the way that he ran his offense versus Joe Brady and the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, to your point about the one-possession games, the Chiefs have won 17 straight one-score games, so they just don't lose those games often. All right, this offseason, the Bills need to clear nearly $11 million to reach the 2025 salary cap. Plus, they have some key players who become free agents. You're seeing some of them there. Graz, what are the biggest offseason questions in Buffalo?
They do have some big questions on the defensive side of the ball. Von Miller is under contract for a few more years, but he's a candidate at his age and his salary to possibly be released. None of his money next season is guaranteed. So whether they do that or not, they'll be looking for edge rush help. And obviously, if they let him go, they'll be looking for even more. And then Rasul Douglas, cornerback they traded for in the middle of last season, has been a good player for them. They have to figure out what they're doing in terms of bringing him back. If they don't bring him back, they'll obviously need another corner. And then to Hawk's point about wide receiver, it'll be interesting to see what they do. They were very happy this year about tying an NFL record for most different guys catching touchdown passes in a season. They kind of liked that sort of no-name offense they were running. So I'm curious to see if they'll go back to that number one receiver model, try to sign one of those big guys, or work more with the Keon Coleman's, Khalil Shakir's, guys that they liked this season.
Reading that graphic with the two receivers, I think I would prefer Matt Collins over Amari Cooper.
The way that he played this season?
In the way that he's complete for their offense.
What do you think, Peacock?
To Graz and your point, they've had success with the wide receiver by committee.
But the way that he blocks for their offense
for
such
sure.
a big deal.
But I don't know if I'm going to sit here and say Matt Collins is my number two, just to be honest. And again, Keon Coleman has taken strides. Shakir obviously is like the main guy, even though he plays the slot, and he's very versatile in that way. Even with a receiver by committee approach, they're missing roles. They need a big play guy, deep threat. Josh Allen has a rocket arm. You don't see those highlights as routinely as you should of him heaving the ball 50, 60 yards down the field and a guy catching underneath it and scoring a touchdown. They need that in this offense. Otherwise, they're going to be hamstrung like they were in the AFC Championship.
I wonder if Cooper had more time, maybe he could get to know the offense a little better. What else do they need to do?
I agree. They need a difference maker on offense, a perimeter player that's a difference maker. I think they need to add two pieces to their back end that are game changers. Baltimore has Marlon Humphrey and a Kyle Hamilton. Kansas City has a Justin Reed and a Trent McDuffie. They need to get better on the back seven. And then I think the third thing is at those crunch moments versus a Lamar, a Joe, a Patrick Mahomes, they got to get more multiple schematically on defense. If you think about the end of the game, Buffalo saw a Star Wars pressure from Kansas City, advantage Kansas City. Kansas City gets the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 9, and they say single high safety in the middle of the field, man coverage. That's hard to do unless you got the guys that are unbelievable lockdown on the outside. The
Bills allowed 29 points per game to teams that made the playoffs this season. So against a good competition, you saw them break down a little bit on that side of the ball.
Another classic here at Arrowhead Stadium.
Reaches for the end zone, and he's got it.
Try another sneak by Josh Allen on 4th down and inches. And the Chiefs get a stop. Mahomes keeps it on an RPO at the 5. Gets a lead block. He goes into the end zone.
Allen looking, fires, and it's complete to Curtis Samuel for the touchdown.
We got to make one more and score one more point than them, and we didn't do that tonight.
4th down and 5 for the Bills. Facing Josh Allen. He throws it up for grabs, and the pass is incomplete.
It's just so hard to get to the Super Bowl, and I don't take it for granted. To be able to do it again at Arrowhead was special.
The Chiefs win the AFC Championship.
And then there were two. Patrick Mahomes has punched his ticket to the Super Bowl. Who would have saw it coming? Well, a lot of people saw it coming, especially when they masterfully executed a crucial two-point conversion in the AFC Championship game. Dan is going to show us that play from the perspective of Mahomes, thanks to next-gen stats and the Status Pro Visualizer, which allows the recreation of the play exactly as it happened in the game. Dan, go to work.
Hawk, you said it. 2-point play is one of the storylines of this game. Kansas City goes 1 for 1. Buffalo goes over 2. So if you get to the line of scrimmage and you're Patrick Mahomes, you want to get into this situation in your ideal formations, stacks and bunches, and you're expecting two things. Man coverage, one thing, and then two, are you going to get any kind of pressure? Now this play starts with Juju Smith-Schuster. He's going to go in motion from the left side of the formation all the way to the right. And when he does that, this safety, Cole Bishop, the rookie, is going to go with him. Indicator for number one for Patrick Mahomes, I expect man coverage. Number two, I said expect pressure. Okay, so Kansas City lines up in what they often do, 1, 2, 3, 4-by-1 formations. 4 people to one person to the other side, okay? And always have to start with, am I going to have the chance to get the ball off? So if you're Patrick Mahomes, you walk, you say 1, 2, 3, and I see on the defense 1, 2, 3. My left side, if I'm the quarterback, I'm good protection-wise. I have no issues with I'm going to get pressure over here. And then I peek to my right and say, okay, I got my right guard, my right tackle, and my back, because my back, Kareem Hunt, is going to be in protection. Knowing that I have 1, 2, 3 over to this side. So all 3 of those guys are going to be picked up. Now, reminder, I have that 4-by-1. That means 1, 2, 3 over to my right. that only leaves 4 defenders for Buffalo if you're the quarterback. I know because of that, if one of those guys blitzes, Taron Johnson being that one person, he's on me. As the quarterback, if he pressures, I've got to get the ball out of my hands. Now, I want everyone to see what the route concept is going to be. If I'm the quarterback, 87, in this situation, Patrick Mahomes, I want to throw the ball to Travis Kelce on this little flat and return route. So let's go be Patrick. That's all you have to think about. Catch the snap, and is Kelce win. As you drop back to pass and you see vision right now, no. Because see how this corner widens? They're actually passing this off if you're Buffalo. Buffalo widens this corner in their man coverage, and with Kelce going to the flat, I don't like that leverage right now. Okay, so let's go to what we call a little bit of a switch release. I want a number 1 be Juju Smith-Schuster. Remember, I went in motion, and this safety right here followed me. I expect man coverage. All I want to do is run right off Justin Watson's path. Right now, I'm trying to pick myself, and as pick for myself, and I see that backer trigger, I'm getting my eyes to the backfield right now. But if you're Justin Watson, you also want to pay attention to, and let's go be Watson, you want to pay attention to 2 things. Number 1, you're trying to win as well. As you see Taron Johnson trigger right here, this nickel fires, you're trying to just push vertical, and right now you see that both of these defenders collide. Let's just go be right here. You've had vision, Justin Watson, you're seeing that both of these defenders are colliding on each other. So you have the chance to go get the football. Let's go be Watson again. Go push vertical if you're Justin Watson. And once you see that these defenders run into each other, you want to put your foot in the ground and snap your head back and become a viable option for Patrick Mahomes and expect that pass. So let's go be Patrick, because you're trying to experience and diagnose all this happening. I talked about the pressures. Remember, if Taron Johnson triggers, I have to get the ball out of my hands. But when you're Patrick and you drop back, you have no concerns with protection this side, and you see number 43, that linebacker, trigger, see? Once this linebacker triggers and decides to become a pressure guy, I know there's nobody left in the field. There's nobody left in the middle of the field back to the end zone. So as long as somebody wins in their route, I have the chance to get that ball out on time. Now, this is the beautiful part. If you're Patrick Mahomes, you walk to line of scrimmage in a gotta-have-it, huge moment. You don't like the one-on-one backside to Xavier Worthy, but you trust that your switch release and your 4x1, somebody is going to win in man coverage. Catch the snap. Travis Kelce's not the option. Drift a little bit. C43, release. And then there's that beautiful throw by Patrick Mahomes right on the face mask to Justin Watson. In gotta-have-it moments, the Chiefs know if they get into their favorable formations and allow their guys to run away from certain coverages, Patrick Mahomes will always find the open guy.
That was Patrick Mahomes' first successful 2-point conversion since 2022 and his first ever successful 2-point conversion in the NFL playoffs, because he's not just good when good is needed. He's great when good is needed.